Being at university means reading, a lot of reading, and sometimes this might feel a little overwhelming. This screencast is about making the time you spend reading more effective. Most of us, when we have to read something for uni, start at the first sentence and read the entire thing through to the end. This is called linear reading, and there's nothing wrong with this. But this is more of what you do reading a novel when you're on holidays. What I'll be talking about today is nonlinear reading. This is when you scan through the text and pick out key pieces of information to get the overall sense of what you're about to read. Nonlinear reading can be effective because you'll be able to understand the context of what you're reading better, which will make your reading faster and more focused and effective when you do read the text carefully from start to finish. I'll also be talking about questioning what you read and how to make effective notes that you can draw on for assignments and exams. So here are STUDYSmarter's 3 top tips for reading more effectively at UWA. 1. Speed date the text. 2. Question what you read. And 3. Note the essentials. Let's start with speed dating the text. This is what I was talking about before. I use this method as a quick way to get a snapshot of what I read. Some people call it pre-reading. I call it speed dating the text. Like speed dating, where people go around the room and spend 5 minutes talking to people, I spend 5 minutes getting to know what I'm about to read. I want to know what the text is like and if we have a future together. Is the text going to be fun or is it going to be challenging? Is it going to be mean to me or kind? Do I need to look up a few key concepts or find some background material before I get down to reading it properly, that type of thing. I start with the title. We often don't pay proper attention to titles. We just see a few key words and jump right into reading without thinking first. Look at this example. The title reads, Towards High Performance Health Systems, Adults' Healthcare Experiences in 7 Countries 2007. You might be thinking of reading this, but more interested in finding some material on children's perceptions of healthcare rather than adult perceptions. And this article might give you some useful background information, but it's not going to give you exactly what you want, so you probably don't want to spend too much time reading this when you can be looking for something more suitable. I know this sounds obvious, but you can get a lot of information from a title without reading the text in full, especially academic titles. So over the next few weeks, pay close attention to the titles of what you read and really try to take in what they're trying to communicate. After I've read the title, I read the abstract if there is one. Or as you can see in the sample chapter that I'm going to take from a textbook, this one is called Organizational Behavior. I'd look at the start of the chapter to see if there's any summary material that I can get some information from. Here it gives you the chapter outline and the learning objectives, and these 2 parts give you a pretty clear indication of what's in store. Next, I read the first and last paragraphs. This gives me an overview of what the reading is about and what conclusions the author has come to. If it was a textbook, I'd also flip to the back to see if there's a summary. So now in 2 minutes, I already have a rough picture of what the essential information is going to be in this chapter. So after I've done this, I go through the textbook or article and read any headings or subheadings. This gives me the skeleton of how the author has put the information together, how he or she has divided up the content and the progression of their ideas. But if there's no headings or subheadings, I skim read the first sentence of each paragraph. What I'm trying to do is get an impression of what the text is going to be like and to see if I need to do any work before reading it in depth. And I'll talk more about this in a minute. After this, I look at any figures or text boxes. This is usually the most important information the author wants to convey and often the most vivid and easy to understand at a glance. I also keep an eye out too for these handy little concept definitions you can see here. So that's basically the order of how I speed date a text. And using this method should only take you 5 minutes or so, and the more you practice doing it, the easier it becomes. Its main benefit is that it gives you a sense of the purpose, argument and structure of the reading, which is going to provide you with a strong framework when it comes to reading the text in more detail. While I'm quickly speed dating the text, and after I finish doing it, I ask myself some questions, and that's the subject of our next top tip. I ask myself, what's the main thing I think I'm going to learn from reading this text? What's this reading about? I also ask myself, why am I reading this? Or more usually, why are they making me read this? Is it for a class or an essay? If it's for a class, this is where it's handy to look back at your unit outline. You want to know how this reading fits into what you're learning this week. This way you can focus on what matters most in the reading for your next class or to help you understand that week's lecture. For example, say the unit topic this week is on healthcare in Australia, and you see that the reading looks at healthcare systems in different countries. You'll know to pay special attention to the parts that talk specifically about Australia. If you're reading to write something, it's a good time to decide how this reading fits into what you're trying to write about. This is where speed dating the text is most useful. If you're researching for an assignment, you really don't want to waste your time reading stuff from start to finish that's not going to give you the information you need. Again, ask yourself, what am I going to get from this reading? What do I need? Am I looking to get some background information on some foundational concepts, or case studies and examples, or even just a few additional points to support my argument? I also ask myself, what do I already know and what should I know? Do I need to look up new concepts and terminology to understand this? After I've asked all these questions, then I read the text carefully, making notes as I go. So in this last phase of reading, I try to read actively. As I go, I note down the most essential information. I usually write down a few keywords at the very least, and I also note down the page numbers too, so I can quickly locate information I need at a later date or to reference ideas for an assignment. I also keep track as I read of any new concepts or terminology I don't know, and I also record my own thoughts, ideas and questions I have. After I finish reading, I go back through my notes and try and identify the key points in the main argument. I also think about examples and evidence the author has used to support their argument. Finally, I make a short list of the most important things to remember in my own words. These little summaries are great for recalling the entire reading at a glance, which is especially useful when it comes to revisiting what you've read when revising for exams. We hope you've enjoyed the STUDYSmarter screencast. And remember, you can read more effectively by speed dating the text, questioning what you read, and noting the essentials.